Thank you for my kindly introduction. Hello, everyone. It's a great honor to be able to speak to you today. Before I start, I would like to thank Professor Tongsen and Museo Vincenzo Vela for giving me to this opportunity. So I start my presentation. This presentation explores the distinguished characteristics of the Okinawan textile found in the Japan Folk Art Museum. The Okinawan textile in the Japan Folk Art Museum will be compared with collections of Okinawan textiles in other collections, and the similarities and differences between the various collections of Okinawan textile will be discussed. First, an overview will be given of the important issues under consideration. The Japan Folk Art Museum holds a vast array of Okinawan textile in its collection, representing a majority of extant Okinawan textiles. It has the greatest number of Okinawan textiles among any collection, and arguably it holds the best quality Okinawan textile in Japan. The Okinawa Prefectural University of Art Research Institute conducted research on this collection over 29 years. I participated in the survey during 7 years. After the completion of the rigorous research in 1927, 3 survey reports were published. However, since the museum houses a famous collection of Okinawan textile, other collections are often disregarded. Such disregard for other collections has prevented comparison between the museum's collection and other museum collections. Through this survey conducted by the Research Institute, vast knowledge was gained of the Okinawan textile collection of the Japan Folk Art Museum. As a result, it was discovered that the Japan Folk Art Museum collection is incomplete since it does not comprise all Okinawan textile types. The Okinawan textile collection of the Japan Folk Art Museum is very famous as the collection that was gathered by Soetsu Yanagi, the father of the Mingei folk art movement, or Mingei. It was Yanagi who chose this object as he saw the beauty of everyday objects created by anonymous craftsmen. However, I believe that other Okinawan textile types were not included in this collection. This belief has led me to survey Okinawan textile types outside the Mingei category. I participated in the survey of Okinawan textile in the Museum der Kulturen Basel in 1917 and 1918. Figure 1 shows a textile from the said museum. This textile of Basel has a tag with the name Kikuchi Keigetsu. Kikuchi was a Japanese painter who visited Okinawa in 1928. He had his own Okinawan textile collection. And Yoshitaro Kamakura visited Okinawa from 1924 to 1938, 16 years before Yanagi stepped his foot in Okinawa. Kamakura is well known for his discovery of the Okinawan culture. Most notably, Kamakura gathered bingata, bingata is dyed fabric, bingata fragment, and katagami. Katagami is stencil tool for bingata, and published articles that greatly contributed to the understanding of Okinawan culture and industry and history. Yet another textile collection comes from the Ethnological Museum of Berlin, which houses a Ryukyu and Okinawa textile collection that was gathered in 1884. This collection is very valuable because it had been collected earlier than the other collection mentioned. Kyoko Sukumine from Okinawa surveyed this collection in 1992 and in 2012. I will now discuss the difference between the Berlin, Kamakura, and the Yanagi collection. Regarding the Kamakura and Yanagi collection, a previous study by Kobayashi explained that the textile in the aforementioned collection were made of dyed fabric materials and that they were not Mingei objects. Kobayashi claimed that Yoshitaro Kamakura introduced Bingata in the early Showa era with his interpretation of Okinawan art craft as elite art. Yanagi also know about this aberration, but decided to treat Bingata as Mingei. The collection policies of the Kamakura and Yanagi collection were quite different. I agree with the claim that Bingata is not the Mingei. Bingata was used for royalty, while Mingei was intended for ordinary people. However, this preceding study failed to take into the consideration the textile with woven pattern, that is, the Bingata and the additional woven fabric. I will now explain my main topic with an overview of the aims behind the aforementioned collections. Next, I will demonstrate how these collections were procured. Okinawan textile can be classified into 3 collection types. Collection type A are textile collection for ethnological study. Collection type B, on the other hand, are collection of art objects. Lastly, collection type C are collection of Mingei. An example of collection A can be seen in the Ryukyu collection of the Ethnological Museum of Berlin. The Prussian government had great interest in the political situation of East Asia. In 1884, the government requested the systematic collection of Ryukyu textile through the Tokyo German Consulate in Japan. And the same year, the government bought the collection at an enormous price. The largest characteristic of this collection relates to ethnology. This collection is classified on the basis of the social position of its owners. For example, there are different kinds of textile for a king, a separate one for the crown prince, another for officers, and different kinds for commoners, both female and male. Other than the textile, this collection includes a crown as a status symbol. Figure 2 shows a picture of a crown for a king. This type of red crown could only be worn by the king and the crown prince. Currently, few such crowns remain. We have explained in Berlin, Kumejima Island, Tokyo, and Naha. Figure 3 shows a rare garment which is usually worn during horse riding. In addition, this collection contains underwear, belts, and banana fiber kimono for the use of commoners. Next, let us look at the Kamakura textile as an example of collection type B. Kamakura visited Okinawa as a fine art teacher in 1923. He became interested in the Okinawan culture and eventually received a grant from the foundation. With this, he returned to Okinawa in 1924 and visited Okinawa 5 times between 1924 and 1938. He surveyed Okinawan textile, document, architecture, and pottery, and took many photographs of various Okinawan objects. He eventually gathered 1,414 seeds of katagami and 714 bingata fragments.